Basically, today we are going to talk about kids management, and here in our section is a section for the breastfeeding mothers, as you see them eating or feeding on their pasture that has actually been served to them. Um, we in this business basically realize that if you don't have the kids on you, it means you're not making the business. So unfortunate that last year our current breastfeeding mothers were supposed to be having about 30 of them, birthing at that time. But then our dry spell in our region started so early, and they were hit by the stress, and most of them miscarried. Now, we found out that it was hit after we had an intervention with a DVO, and we discovered that our animals had no problem, but it was just because of the heat stress. And that's why you see this birthing season has been at a low. But we are expecting that in March, our next phase, we phased our natural synchronization for our animals in three. But of course, monthly, this month, we said them that if this month they give birth, the next month there will also be a period of 1.5 months. And why I'm discussing more of the kids is because last week I received a call from one of my colleagues that are just starting the business. He probably started with about 20 animals, and there was a mayhem that happened at the farm. Most of his kids were being lost. But what I think I know is that usually, if you lose kids during the dry spell, it means you're really poor at your management, because if the percentage of losing your kids is about 50 in the dry spell, then it would hit 100%. That is if you're in the rainy spell, because again there's a lot of work needed or required to maintain these kids during the rainy spell. So it means we need to check ourselves in how we probably handle these kids. They are delicate, just like babies in human beings. They are delicate, and they need that extra care, because they are prone to a lot of infections that are spread through the suckling. Mothers sleep down, and they get that little diarrhea on them. I want to give you an example of one of these kids that is probably disturbing me with a lot of diarrhea. Uh, there's a kid that has been disturbing me with diarrhea of late. I think it has gotten lost. But the reason as to why it was having a lot of diarrhea is the people that were manning them neglected it, and left it to sleep in the section that wasn't raised. And so, as the others were going to their raised pens, they were always leaving it. So I always treated, not knowing what the cause was, but I later realized that the persistent diarrhea was because the mother was sleeping down. Now, that's the very problem that my colleague was facing. He didn't subject these animals to a clean environment, and so these kids, because in his explanation he shows that these animals have the kids were dying because of a lot of diarrhea, and these diarrheas are caused by the infections that these animals, the kids, are prone to while suckling from their breasts, their mother's udder. So it's quite challenging that he lost over he told me he lost over 10 kids, and that's the business. In this business, we only realize that if you're not having the kids, you don't have the money. And as any investor, the rule of any investor is to realize returns on investment as soon as possible, because that's what makes the business sense of any business. So in this, he probably lost those kids, but you can realize that from the time he probably started the venture, add on to the time that these animals have actually been during their gestation period or their pregnancy stage, to the point that they have started breastfeeding their kids, you realize that it's about 7 months. Now, 7 months, usually we call time the money or the sense. And in this, if you happen to lose these kids, it means you've lost all the money within that time of the pregnancy stage. Remember, you've been investing, the workers have been eating, um, probably also uh, the salaries. You've been medicating these animals. Now, at the end of the day, if you lose these kids, it means you're not making business. And so, why I've made this video is that we need to be at most vigilant when our animals give birth. And it means that if you don't probably take care of good management to these kids, it means you're going to make immense losses. Now, it means that any farmer out there that is probably uh, undergoing such causes, such problems of a lot of mortalities at their farm in the kids, it means there is something lacking. And most especially, it is how you handle these kids. The moment you mishandle them, you're going to make immense losses. And as I've said, any investor would look at their outcome. And outcomes in farming or goat farming here is necessarily the profits that we get out of the kids. Now, one of the most causes of the deaths in these kids is their mothers sleeping in dirty environments. Whenever this mother sleeps in a dirty environment, you've subjected its udder to a lot of bacteria. Now, this is the bacteria that causes a lot of probably diarrheas, and diarrheas really drain these animals. The moment they drain them, yeah, they're subjected to death. And so, what am I trying to insinuate in all I'm saying? We need, to acquire as much knowledge as is required, because the moment you don't take keen note on what you're supposed to be taking keen note on, it means you're going to lose out. And we don't want to discourage a lot of people, because one thing we have to know is that the demand for these creatures is insatiable. If you lose animals, if a market comes, it means we're all going to lose out. If I get to your farm and you don't have the animals, what are we going to be supplying to the to those that are demanding for the animals? So it means that we have to, seek knowledge, know what exactly is supposed to be done, and the moment you know and master the card of doing what you're supposed to be doing, you then will hit as you're supposed to. Now, the diarrhea I was talking about is this. Now, the reason as to why this kid has been diarrheating for about 2 weeks is because the mother, as I've told you, was subjected to not going to the raised pens. And as you can see, this man is really healthy. Now, if you lose this, I talked about we realizing profits out of this. Now, this man goes for about a million or 1.2 as he is now. Now, if you lose him, it means you're not making the business sense. But you've waited for about 7 months to get him, and you've lost him at the end of the day. Now, imagine you've had these men, about probably 20 of them. You will have lost over 20 million Ugandan shillings. What does that mean to any businessman? It means you're not making the business sense. So, what am I trying to say? That we need to seek knowledge, but seeking knowledge from people that have really, gotten involved in this and know what exactly they are doing, not consulting just anyhowly, because most people have really come out to explain and make a lot of insights about what is required of you doing. And but you need to know people who are going to give you the advice for you to thrive, because we need all to thrive. None of us needs to see ourselves poor or remain in the states that we are in. And so that's what I probably wanted to share. And we need to understand that the dynamics behind these businesses is making profits. The moment you're not making any profit, and our profits in goat farming are the kids. And so if you don't take a note of, making sure that you can sustain them to maturity, it means then you're going to be kicked out of the business. And when you come out to share such stories, then you demoralize other people who probably would be interested. I'm not saying that we are, going through something smooth. We are going through something smooth, but we also face challenges as farmers or people who have, done this for quite about sometime, but it means that all of us need to share information amongst ourselves for us to thrive as goat farmers, because what makes the business make sense to others is the numbers that are multiplying. And so if the numbers are not multiplying, then who are you going to encourage to join these businesses? So it's very important in that sense for us to realize and probably align our goals to seeking knowledge and knowing what exactly we are supposed to be doing, because any business out there only and only thrives on making sense out of it, but also most importantly, knowing exactly what you're supposed to be doing for it to make sense out of it. I thank you, and I wish all the people out there to also take on these ventures, because, yeah, as the sayings are now going for the wealth creation, we all need to get and take part in doing these things, because if not us, then who exactly would be doing it? So basically that is it. I wanted to share a simple insights or a few insights on probably what we are facing in regards to managing these kids. But as we move on, we shall go to the nitty gritties that are required of we sustaining them. But I just wanted to give an insight of what it takes to make sure that we probably sustain our kids to maturity for us to make the businesses. Thank you, and wish you the best next time.